welcome to Sisters Sound Off. I'm Elle.
And I'm Carrie.
Happy you're here. Okay, so in the age of social media, I think I've been learning some things, and one thing that's been eye-opening to me is the financial risk of being a stay-at-home mom.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I realized that when we discussed this option
Right.
when we were having our kids, and our mother stayed at home for a while.
Yeah.
Not
quite a while, though.
And she did always say it was some of the best years of her life. And she painted it very...
I think that's why we all did it.
Yes, every single daughter.
Yeah, all three daughters did it. To some extent.
She painted it as a really great experience in her life. And so I thought, okay, that sounds great. You know, I didn't really have a solid career that... It made it, doable. It's like, okay, let's do this. But now, through hearing stories, and now, unfortunately, through actual friendships and people I know in person,
oh, right.
I've realized, wow, what a financial risk that puts you in.
Very vulnerable.
Very vulnerable.
It doesn't always have to be, but it really can be.
It can be. That's right. It depends on the relationship and what systems you have in place to protect yourself.
Right. Yeah. And I think, I would think most people who do it this way, they do it because it's a priority. Maybe it is a financial reason as well. But I think for all of us, it was a priority that you might have to make sacrifices in other ways. I think all of our husbands bought into it because they also found it to be a good priority for their family. But financially, it can be very different for people. And, depending on what the finances are, there are different kinds of ways that I guess then the money is distributed. I think maybe people like this too, but I mean, I have had friends who also were stay-at-home, moms for a while too, and they get, I want to say stipend, but I guess like an allowance.
Yes.
And it was hard and weird, I think, in that way. I've never had that.
No, neither have I. It's one partner taking like ownership of the joint finances.
That's right. It's not a conversation anymore. It's then like, I'm in charge of it. I'm giving you this.
Yes.
And it's very much a power play.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's a not healthy dynamic in a husband, wife, or in a, relationship.
Right.
And so I thought maybe I could use this episode as a PSA, a public service announcement, or a way that we could share our experiences and also what systems we have in place that have actually worked to our benefit.
Right.
So for me, in my 20s, even before, actually, this was while I was still working, one of my coworkers was like, you should see my financial advisor. And I was like, oh, but we only make like this much. Like, we're just poor little out of college students. And so, but we went and they were like, no, this is when you start. It doesn't matter how much money you make. Okay. That's my first thing I want to say. It doesn't matter the amount of salary, anybody in whatever the household, let's say the household.
Right. Yeah.
You can go see a professional. And they will help you, one, not only build your finances, but two, be very transparent in where that money is going and make smart decisions that both partners have a say in.
Gets you on the same page.
Exactly.
Yeah. What are our priorities together as a family, as a couple?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's like, a mediator. There's a third person there to make sure that both parties are being accounted for and it's joint finances.
Did y'all ever have like, well, I really want to do this or that? And they're like, well, if you do this, then you have to pull back here. Or were y'all always pretty much the same goals?
I think, mostly the same goals. Sometimes, I think sometimes people are scared to see a financial advisor because then they won't get to do what they want with their money.
Yeah.
But that's not really the case. If there's something you want, the financial advisor, at least in my experience, is there to help you figure out how to reach that goal.
Right.
Okay. So for me, it's renovations.
Right.
It's usually but I really want wood floors. It's like, okay, well, if that's what you want, then we need to build up this this amount.
Right.
So then maybe we could pull, we could redirect, I'll say, certain amounts from this account or where we're saving.
Right. Without like completely saying, well, we're going to keep saving for retirement. We're going to keep doing these other things, but to get this other pot of money, you pull from, I don't know, whatever else, vacation fund or something else.
The things I didn't even know. Like my husband had a 401k through work. My job didn't have that. She's like, okay, we're going to set up a Roth IRA for you. I wouldn't have known to ask for that. I wouldn't have known how to set that up. But my financial advisor made sure that my retirement needs were also covered.
Right.
From the beginning, so that I had time to grow that every month.
Right.
And it was just as much a priority of putting in my Roth as his 401k and his Roth.
That's right.
One person didn't come above the other. Now his 401k grows more than mine, but at least I have something
right, because
earmarked in my name for my retirement.
Right. So yeah, we do a lot of the similar things. I've already, my 401ks, I've then moved into a Roth IRA after I stopped working. So it's still growing. I'm not contributing really to it anymore, but it's still been growing. It's been going pretty good actually. So I keep an eye on that. But also one thing we just did just over the holidays was that we realized that you can set up Roth IRAs for your kids starting pretty young. And technically they're supposed to be earning some money, but they also can earn money just like anywhere. Like if they babysit, that counts, or doing yard work for the neighbors and things like that. And so yeah, I mean, I think if you start getting into pretty higher numbers, you probably need to have some, what are they W-9s and stuff like that. But I think for kids, they realize you get paid in cash most of the time, like for that sort of stuff. And so you can put that money in, like Bodhi. So we just set it up, both up. And Bodhi randomly did a commercial with me the other day. And the good news is, so he made $300, which he was so excited about, but he wants to spend that $300. But what we can do is, because he actually made that, like we can put that $300 into his account and we still can let him have his $300. So it works out in a nice way where it can show that it's just coming from our account. It's okay because he actually did get paid. But yeah, so that $300, we were trying to do the math the other day, like asked my husband, so like when he actually retired, just that $300, like how much would it be worth? And I think it was like about $12,000. Because he started right now. So it just shows that, like, I mean, compound interest isn't like a magical thing, but you can already, even if we didn't put that much money in, or they're just doing a little bit, just having it set up and knowing that it's ready and they can start doing stuff, I think is so good. And we're teaching them about it. We're like, look, you're not going to get this money until you retire. Like you're going to be in your 60s when you get this. So you don't get too excited about the money now, but like, this is what people do. You have to start saving. So then when you're older and you are not working anymore, then you have this money to live off of. So
it's a great lesson and a great example of time being on your side. That was another thing we also learned. It's like, okay, you may not be adding as much as you want into it, but if you're starting in your 20s, that's huge.
It's so much better. Yeah.
It really makes a difference. The little bits add up and the time helps, increase the compound interest.
Yeah.
And also just sharing, I don't know, having someone there to be forthcoming with. And I just didn't realize that other couples like hide money and have, and it's okay to have your own accounts like separately, but there needs to be a joint account as well, I think, or some way that it's not just one person controls it.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I think different things work for different people. And even our parents, growing up, they always had just one account, all the same. And they really preached it to us. Yeah. And I think a lot of that was because mom was home for quite a few years. And then when she went back to teaching, she did make quite a bit less than dad, just because he had been working all that time. And so, it made sense. But then because their spending habits were a little bit different and it was causing a lot of tension for them sort of in retirement almost, is when they actually then decided to to split finances, and they each get their own account, and then they also have a joint one that they work on. And in the end, it's all going to end up together anyway, probably. But it kind of, I think it helped them with spending. Like, well, if I want to go get my nails done, that's my priority. I don't want to hear from you because you might spend money on something else that, I don't think is necessary. Exactly. So I think that can work out for people as well.
And they each had one. It's not that only dad had a fun account and mom had to work out of the joint account and ask to do things. They both,
and for the kids too. I think also this was a lot after the kids were out, and you have to pay for things for your kids. It's not really fair if it's only coming from one. I think the bottom line is that it needs to be a conversation, and you need to buy into whatever system it is together. Right. And I think as long as that's there, then it's okay. But yeah, the allowance and all of that, I find it really hard because that means you're not communicating and you don't trust the other person to make good financial decisions. I actually know this one girl, friend through a friend. She's really nice, but she was married and he was gambling a lot and making some bad financial decisions, but they still loved each other and they got a divorce. But they still live together and they're still together. But they only got the divorce because of the financial things. Because she was like, I can't handle the stress of that anymore. They split the money. She has hers. He has his. I think they still kind of contribute to the house a bit. But if he goes broke with his own money, she still has her nest egg there. And she's like, I just couldn't handle that stress anymore. Yeah. So that works for them. You never know.
Well, I mean, that's at least they talked about it and they found a system. They found a system that they both could live with and feel protected and, included in the conversation and the planning.
Right.
So anyway, this is my PSA that make sure if you're in a relationship that you're having these conversations, and I highly recommend a financial advisor, even if you don't think you have enough money, as a mediator to help you through these conversations and making sure that there's oversight into the honesty of the relationship.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Double check too. Cause just recently I could get to the account. I saw it on my little app, but then one day I tried to change some money over and I realized I did not have access to that. And so I wasn't completely on that account. And so we had to do some paperwork and make sure that I actually fully had access to that account and to move stuff around. I thought I did because I could always see it on my little app. But you got to dig around a little bit sometimes. You never know.
That's right. Hold your ground too,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Stick with it.
That's true. So
you're worth it. All right. Thanks for joining us. Well, we look forward to seeing you next time.
Yep. Bye.